He wouldn't be able to do so many of the things that we love to do. Running around with our friends, kicking a football, riding a bike, playing with our toys. He wouldn't have been able to do so many of those things. So life for this paralyzed man in the time of Jesus was tough. Really, really tough. He was an outsider. He would have been ignored by people. He was lost and he was helpless. Now, we're going to have a look at what happened when this paralyzed man came to Jesus. And as we do that, we're going to watch a little video with the story. I want you to think about this question, okay? What is this man's biggest problem? Let's have a look at the true story from the Bible.
To proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom to the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind. To
Oh, man. Clearly, he hasn't read the Torah.
Truly, I tell you, no prophet is accepted in his hometown.
We're late. Don't you complain when you're the one who kept stopping for lunch and morning tea and rest breaks and dessert and... I'm sorry, man. I know this was important to you. Hang on. Levi, if you're afraid of heights, raise your hand.
What? Yay!
Envy! Surely you will quote this proverb to me. Physician, heal yourself. And you will tell me, do here in your hometown what we have heard.
What?
Truly,
Look. Hey, look out.
What are you doing? When the sky was what? Friend, your sins are forgiven.
Forgiving sins? Who is this fellow who speaks blasphemy?
Which is easier to say? Your sins are forgiven, or to say get up and walk? Get up, take your mat, and go home.
Great. Well, did you see the people's reactions? All these people watching, did you see them? They were amazed by what they'd just seen. Did you see the paralyzed man jump out of his bed so high because he'd been healed? He was full of joy, wasn't he? Well, of course he was, because remember what we said about how difficult his life would have been before he was healed, before his biggest problem was fixed. His life was so tough, but not anymore. He could go wherever he wanted. He could do whatever he wanted. He could work, he could earn money. He could do all of those things that we said earlier that he wouldn't be able to enjoy because his legs didn't work. This paralyzed man's life is totally changed. But do you know what would have made this man leap out of bed so much higher? And would have made him shout for joy so much louder? The thing that would have changed his life the most is what Jesus said to him. I wonder if you heard it. Do you remember it? Jesus said to the paralyzed man first, "Friend, your sins are forgiven." Now, this man's biggest problem isn't that he's paralyzed. It's not that his legs don't work. It's not how hard his life was because of all those things. No, his biggest problem is that he's an outsider from God. He's outside of God's family. because of his sin, because he's turned away from God. He's wandered away. Sin was this man's biggest problem. Being lost from God was his biggest problem. Now, this story is amazing because the man is healed, but it's even more amazing because we see that Jesus can forgive sins. Just like the man with the poorly hand last week, remember? And just like the fisherman with all the fish, Jesus shows us that he is God. He heals the paralyzed man to show that he cares for us so, so much, and that he can, and he does, forgive sin, our biggest problem. That's why he's come. He is God, and he's come to seek and to save the lost. Now, where's my magnifying glass? Let's have a close look at me and a close look at you. Oh, my face looks funny there. But let's have a close look at us, right? What's our biggest problem? Well, it's the same as the paralyzed man, isn't it? Our biggest problem is sin. It's that we have walked away from God. It's that we've said, I'm in charge, God, not you. It's that we're not friends with God. In fact, we're enemies of God. And no matter how hard our life is, how much we suffer, if we might be sick, if we might feel lonely or sad, none of those are our biggest problem. Our biggest problem is that we are lost from God because we've turned away from him. Remember our verse from week number 1, from our challenge from Captain Theophilus. Jesus has come to seek and to save the lost. He has come to fix our biggest problem of sin. Isn't that amazing? So that we can be friends with God. It's the greatest news ever that Jesus has come to save us from our sin, to seek and to save the lost.